Have you ever had your entire world shattered by a single sentence from a child? A question so innocent, so pure, that it cuts through lies like a knife through paper. That's what happened to me on an ordinary Tuesday evening while I was brushing my 6-year-old daughter's hair before bedtime. She looked up at me with those big, trusting eyes and asked, "Mommy, why does Daddy sleep at Aunt Lisa's house every night?" My hands froze, the hairbrush suspended in midair. My heart stopped beating for what felt like an eternity. "What did you say, sweetheart?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, even though panic was already clawing its way up my throat. "Daddy," she repeated casually, like she was talking about the weather. "When I stay with Aunt Lisa, Daddy comes over every night. He reads her bedtime stories too. Why doesn't he just stay at our house?" I remember staring at my daughter's reflection in the mirror, watching her innocent face as she swung her little legs back and forth, completely unaware that she had just dropped a bomb that would destroy everything I thought I knew about my life. My marriage, my family, my sister. That moment changed everything. But before I tell you how I discovered the full truth, before I tell you how I made them both pay for what they did, I need you to do something for me. Smash that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Because what I'm about to share with you is a story of betrayal so deep, revenge so calculated, and justice so satisfying that you won't want to miss a single detail. My name is Sarah Mitchell, 34 years old, a devoted wife, a loving mother, a successful marketing consultant. And until that Tuesday evening, I thought I had it all figured out. I thought I was living the dream that so many women only fantasize about. I was married to Daniel Mitchell, a real estate mogul who owned half the commercial properties in our city. Handsome, charming, successful, the kind of man that other women would stare at when we walked into a room together. We lived in a beautiful 5-bedroom house in the most exclusive neighborhood. We drove luxury cars. We took exotic vacations. Our daughter, Emma, went to the best private school money could buy. On paper, my life was perfect. But here's what I've learned. The most beautiful pictures often hide the ugliest truths. And sometimes, the people you trust the most are the ones holding the knife aimed at your back. My sister, Lisa, God, just saying her name now makes my stomach turn. She was 28, 6 years younger than me. Growing up, we were inseparable. I was the responsible older sister, she was the free-spirited creative one. She struggled financially as a freelance graphic designer, living paycheck to paycheck in a small apartment across town. I helped her whenever I could, paid her rent more times than I can count, bought her groceries, gave her my old furniture, my old clothes, my old everything. I loved her. I would have done anything for her. And apparently, she loved my husband enough to destroy me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where this nightmare really began. Because every betrayal has a beginning, a moment when the first lie is told, the first boundary is crossed, the first seed of deception is planted. For me, that moment came 6 months before my daughter's innocent question. 6 months before my world came crashing down. It started with what I thought was an act of incredible generosity from my husband. It started with a house. Let me paint you a picture of my life before everything fell apart, because you need to understand what I had, what I believed in, to truly grasp what was taken from me. Daniel and I met 10 years ago at a charity fundraiser. I was working for a small marketing firm at the time, handling the event's social media campaign. He was one of the major donors, writing checks that had more zeros than my annual salary. When he approached me at the bar and started talking, I honestly thought he was just being polite. Men like him didn't usually notice women like me. But he did. He called me the next day, took me to dinner at the most expensive restaurant in the city. By the end of the night, I was completely swept off my feet. Daniel had this way of making you feel like you were the only person in the world that mattered. When he looked at you, really looked at you, it was intoxicating. We were married within a year. It was a fairy tale wedding, 300 guests, a venue that cost more than my parents' house, a dress that had been featured in bridal magazines. Lisa was my maid of honor, of course. She stood beside me, helped me into my dress, held my hand when I got nervous, and cried happy tears when Daniel and I exchanged our vows. Looking back now, I wonder if she wanted him even then. If she stood there watching us kiss as husband and wife and felt jealousy burning in her chest instead of happiness for her sister. The first few years of marriage were blissful. Daniel was attentive, romantic, generous. When I got pregnant with Emma, he treated me like I was made of glass, hiring a private chef to make sure I ate properly, arranging for prenatal yoga instructors to come to our house, reading every parenting book he could find. He seemed like the perfect husband, the perfect father-to-be. When Emma was born, I watched him hold our daughter for the first time with tears streaming down his face, and I remember thinking, I am the luckiest woman alive. What a fool I was. As Emma grew, our life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Daniel worked long hours building his real estate empire. I had scaled back my consulting work to be more present for Emma, taking on only select clients that allowed me to work from home. We had date nights every Friday, family dinners every Sunday, annual vacations to Hawaii, Paris, the Maldives. And through it all, Lisa was a constant presence in our lives. She came over for dinner at least twice a week. She babysat Emma whenever we needed her to. She was Emma's favorite aunt, the fun one who brought unexpected gifts, who played games and did silly voices, who let Emma stay up past her bedtime and eat too much ice cream. I trusted her completely. Daniel always treated Lisa kindly. Maybe too kindly, but I never suspected anything because, well, she was my sister. Family. And Daniel knew how important she was to me. He knew about our childhood, about how our father had left when Lisa was just 2 years old, about how our mother had worked 3 jobs to keep us fed and clothed. He knew that Lisa and I had only had each other for so many years. He knew that betraying me with Lisa would be the deepest cut possible. And he did it anyway. But again, I'm jumping ahead. At the time, I saw Daniel's kindness toward my sister as just another sign of what a good man he was. When he hired her to design the marketing materials for one of his properties, paying her twice her normal rate, I thought he was being supportive. When he invited her to join us on family vacations, I thought he was being inclusive. When he spent time talking to her at family gatherings, I thought he was making an effort to bond with my family. I interpreted every red flag as a green light. 6 months before Emma's question destroyed my world, Lisa came to me crying. She was being evicted from her apartment. The landlord was selling the building, and she couldn't find anything affordable in the city. She was talking about maybe moving to a different state, somewhere cheaper, starting over. I was devastated at the thought of my baby sister moving away. Emma adored her. I adored her. She was the only real family I had besides Daniel and Emma. That night, I talked to Daniel about it. We were lying in bed, and I was probably more emotional than I should have been, tears rolling down my cheeks as I told him about Lisa's situation. She's going to move away, I said. I can't lose my sister Daniel, she's all I have. He pulled me close, kissed my forehead, and said, Hey, don't worry, we'll figure something out. Family takes care of family, right? At the time, those words brought me so much comfort. Now they make me sick. 2 weeks after that conversation, Daniel came home from work with a bottle of champagne and that megawatt smile he always wore when he'd closed a big deal. I have a surprise, he announced, popping the cork right there in our kitchen. For you and for Lisa. I was intrigued. Daniel loved surprises. He'd surprised me with jewelry, trips, even a new car once. But this felt different, bigger somehow. He poured 2 glasses, handed me one, and then pulled out his phone. He showed me a listing for a beautiful townhouse just 15 minutes from our place. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a modern kitchen, a small backyard. It was in a safe, quiet neighborhood. The kind of place anyone would be lucky to call home. It's gorgeous, I said, not understanding yet. Is this a new investment property? Daniel's smile grew wider. I bought it for Lisa. I nearly dropped my champagne glass. You, what? I bought it for your sister, he repeated, looking so pleased with himself. I know how worried you've been about her moving away. She needs a stable home and we can provide that for her. Consider it a gift from our family to her. I was stunned, completely speechless. My mind was racing trying to process what he'd just said. Daniel had bought my sister a house, an entire house. Daniel, that's incredibly generous, I stammered. But it's too much. We can't just buy her a house. Why not? He set down his glass and took my hands in his. Sarah, we have more money than we know what to do with. Your sister is struggling. You love her. I care about her because she's family, and Emma deserves to have her aunt nearby. It makes perfect sense. When he put it like that, it did make sense. Daniel was right. We were wealthy beyond what most people could imagine. One house was nothing to us financially. And keeping Lisa close, keeping my sister in my life and in Emma's life, that was priceless. Are you sure? I asked. This is such a huge gift. I'm sure, he said firmly. Let's call her right now and tell her the good news. I'll never forget Lisa's reaction when we told her. We video called her, and when Daniel explained that he'd bought her a house, she burst into tears. She kept saying, "Thank you," over and over, her hands covering her face, her whole body shaking with what I thought was grateful disbelief. You don't have to thank us, I said through my own happy tears. You're family, Lisa. We love you. We want you close to us. I love you too, she said, looking directly at the camera. But now I wonder, who was she really looking at? Was she looking at me, her sister? Or was she looking at him, my husband, the man she was apparently already sleeping with? How long had it been going on at that point? Had they already crossed that line? Had they already betrayed me? Or was the house the beginning of it all, the temptation that pushed them from emotional affair to physical one? I may never know the exact timeline, but what I do know is that Daniel buying Lisa that house was the moment everything changed. The closing happened fast. Daniel paid in cash, no mortgage needed. Within 3 weeks, Lisa was moving into her new home. I helped her pack up her old apartment, excited and happy that she'd be so close to us now. I even took days off work to help her decorate the new place, picking out curtains and helping her arrange furniture. Daniel was generous with the furnishings, too. He gave her money for new appliances, new bedroom sets, a new couch. He said he wanted her to have a fresh start, to not have to worry about anything. You're too good to us, Lisa said to him on moving day. They were standing in her new kitchen, and I was in the living room hanging up a mirror. I heard her say it, heard the emotion in her voice. You deserve it, Daniel replied. His voice was soft, too intimate. But I didn't catch it then. I was too busy being grateful for my generous husband and too happy that my sister would be staying in my life. The house became Lisa's sanctuary. She invited us over for dinner the first week she lived there, cooking this elaborate meal to show her appreciation. Emma was thrilled to have a new place to visit Aunt Lisa. She ran around exploring all the rooms, claiming the guest bedroom as her special room at Aunt Lisa's house. Can I have sleepovers here? Emma asked, her eyes wide with excitement. Of course you can, sweetheart, Lisa said, ruffling Emma's hair. Anytime you want. Isn't that a bit much? I said to Lisa later while we were cleaning up dishes. You just moved in. You don't need a 6-year-old disrupting your space already. Lisa shook her head. Are you kidding? I'd love to have Emma over. She's my favorite person in the world. She paused, then added, Well, one of my favorite people. You're pretty high on the list too, sis. She hugged me. I hugged her back, feeling so full of love and gratitude. I had no idea I was hugging the woman who was destroying my marriage. The sleepovers started innocently enough. Once a month, maybe, Emma would pack her little overnight bag with such excitement, thrilled to spend special time with her aunt. I thought it was wonderful. It gave Daniel and me alone time for date nights, and it gave Lisa and Emma time to bond. Then it became twice a month, then every other week. Lisa always had some reason. She was taking Emma to a new movie, or to a craft fair, or they were going to bake cookies together. And I said yes every time because why wouldn't I? I trusted Lisa. I loved that they were close. Daniel started being the one to drop Emma off and pick her up. You're always so busy with work calls, he'd say. I'll handle it. It's on my way. On his way to where? I never asked, I never questioned. He'd drop Emma off at Lisa's house around 7 in the evening. He'd pick her up the next morning around 9. Or at least, That's what I thought was happening. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have known until Emma's innocent question, was that Daniel wasn't just dropping off our daughter and leaving. He was staying. All night. In my sister's bed. In the house he bought her. While I was at home, alone, probably watching some mindless TV show or catching up on work, my husband was 15 minutes away, wrapped up with my sister, betraying me in every way possible. And they were doing it under the cover of family, of generosity, of love. They were using my own daughter as their alibi. That realization, when it finally came, nearly broke me. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. Before the confrontation, before the revenge, before the satisfying destruction of both of their lives, I had to face the horrible, gut-wrenching process of discovering the truth. And it started, as I said, with Emma's question. Why does Daddy sleep at Aunt Lisa's house every night? Those 13 words launched me into an investigation that would uncover lies so elaborate, betrayal so deep, and deception so calculated that I sometimes still can't believe it all really happened. But it did. And what I did in response. That's the part that will make you understand why revenge, when served correctly, is the sweetest dish of all. After Emma said those words, "Why does Daddy sleep at Aunt Lisa's house every?" Had to make a choice in that split second. Do I panic? Do I interrogate my 6-year-old daughter? Do I call my husband right then and there and demand answers? I did none of those things. Instead, I took a deep breath, smiled at my daughter's reflection in the mirror, and said as calmly as I could manage, "Maybe Daddy just visits with Aunt Lisa for a little while before coming home, sweetheart. You're probably already asleep when he leaves." Emma thought about this for a moment, then shrugged. "Maybe, but his car is always there in the morning when I wake up. I see it from the window." My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst through my chest, but I kept my voice light, casual. "You know what? It's getting late. Let's finish brushing your hair and get you into bed. Tomorrow's a school day." I tucked Emma in, read her a story I don't even remember, kissed her forehead, and somehow made it out of her room before my legs gave out. I barely made it to my own bedroom before I collapsed onto the bed, my whole body shaking. Think, Sarah, think. Emma had to be mistaken. She was 6 years old. Maybe she was confused about which nights Daniel visited Lisa's house. Maybe she dreamed it. Maybe she saw a car that looked like Daniel's. There were 1,000 possible explanations that didn't involve my husband sleeping at my sister's house. But even as I tried to rationalize it, my gut was screaming that something was wrong. I checked my phone. It was 8:30. Daniel had texted me 2 hours ago saying he had a late meeting with investors and would be home around 10. This was normal. Daniel had late meetings at least twice a week. I'd never questioned it before. But now every late meeting, every business dinner, every "I'll be home late, don't wait up" text message was suddenly suspicious. I pulled up our text message history and started scrolling back through weeks, then months of conversations. How many times had Daniel said he'd be late? How many times had I gone to bed alone, assuming my husband was working hard to provide for our family? Too many, way too many. Then I did something I'd never done before in 10 years of marriage. I opened the tracking app on my phone, the one we'd set up years ago, supposedly for safety reasons, so we could find each other in case of emergencies. I'd honestly forgotten it even existed. I never had a reason to check Daniel's location before. I clicked on his name with trembling fingers. The little dot that represented my husband's phone appeared on the map. He wasn't at his office. He wasn't at a restaurant meeting with investors. He was at Lisa's house. The house he'd bought her. The house that was supposed to be a generous gift to keep my sister close to our family. I stared at that dot, willing it to move, to show that maybe he'd just stopped by quickly for some innocent reason. I watched it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It didn't move. At 9:15, Daniel texted me, "Meeting running longer than expected. Probably won't be home until 11. Love you." I looked at the dot on my screen, still at Lisa's house. He was lying. My husband was lying to me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw my phone against the wall. I wanted to drive over to that house right now and burst through the door and catch them in whatever they were doing. But I didn't. Because somewhere beneath the panic and the betrayal and the rage, a cold, calculating part of my brain was starting to wake up. The part that had built a successful marketing consulting business by thinking strategically. The part that knew that reacting emotionally would only put me at a disadvantage. If Daniel was really betraying me, and God, it was looking more likely by the second, then I needed to be smart about this. I needed proof. I needed to know exactly what I was dealing with before I made any moves. Over the next few days, I started paying attention, really paying attention. Daniel came home that night at 11:15, just like he said he would. He kissed me, told me the meeting had been productive, asked about my day. He seemed completely normal, not guilty, not nervous, just normal. Either he was innocent, or he was a phenomenal liar. I started noticing little things I'd overlooked before. The way Daniel's eyes would linger on his phone whenever a text came through. The way he'd started showering as soon as he got home from these late meetings, claiming he felt grimy from the day. The way he'd become less interested in physical intimacy with me over the past few months, something I'd attributed to stress from work. I noticed that Lisa had been texting me less frequently. We used to text every day about everything and nothing. But over the past few months, our conversations had become shorter, more superficial. She was pulling away from me, and I'd been too busy to notice. Then there was Emma's sleepover schedule. I pulled out my calendar and marked every time Emma had stayed at Lisa's house over the past 6 months. 18 times. 18 nights that my daughter had slept at my sister's house. 18 nights that Daniel had worked late, or had early morning meetings, or had some reason to be out of the house. The pattern was undeniable once I saw it. I felt sick, physically, violently sick. I spent 20 minutes in the bathroom throwing up, then another 20 minutes sitting on the cold tile floor, trying to process what this all meant. My husband was having an affair with my sister. They were using my daughter as cover. They were making a fool of me in the house I'd helped my sister decorate, with the money my husband had earned during our marriage. The betrayal was so enormous, so complete, that I couldn't fully wrap my mind around it. But I still needed absolute proof, because as much as the evidence was piling up, there was still a chance, a small, desperate chance that I was wrong, that there was some other explanation. I needed to see it with my own eyes. And I needed to be strategic about how I got that proof. The investigation started small, careful. I couldn't let Daniel know I suspected anything. If he realized I was onto him, he might become more cautious, cover his tracks better or worse. He might deny everything and make me feel crazy for even suspecting him. So I played the role of the trusting wife. I smiled. I made dinner. I asked about his day. I kissed him goodbye in the mornings. And every moment of it felt like swallowing glass. The first thing I did was start documenting everything. I created a hidden folder on my phone and began taking screenshots. Every time Daniel texted that he'd be late, I screenshotted it and checked his location, capturing that too. Every time the location showed Lisa's house when he claimed to be at the office or a meeting, I saved the evidence. Within 1 week, I had 7 instances of Daniel lying about his whereabouts. But location data wasn't enough. A good lawyer, and Daniel could afford the best lawyers, would argue that he was just visiting his sister-in-law, that there was nothing inappropriate about it. I needed more. I needed to see what was actually happening inside that house. This is where I had to get creative, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not proud of some of the things I did during this time. Tracking your spouse, invading privacy, it all feels dirty and wrong. But you know what feels worse? Being betrayed by the 2 people you trusted most in the world and doing nothing about it. I waited until the next time Emma had a scheduled sleepover at Lisa's. It was a Friday night, 3 weeks after Emma's innocent question had started all of this. Daniel volunteered to drop Emma off, just like always. "Are you sure?" I asked, playing my part. "I can take her if you're tired." No, it's fine," Daniel said quickly, too quickly. You have that client call at 7 anyway. I'll drop her off and be back in time for dinner. Except he wouldn't be back for dinner. I knew that now. After they left, I sat in my car parked down the street from Lisa's house, far enough away that they wouldn't notice me but close enough to have a clear view. I felt ridiculous, like some character in a bad TV movie. But I needed to do this. Daniel's car pulled into Lisa's driveway at 6:45. I watched him get out, help Emma with her overnight bag, walk to the front door. Lisa answered, wearing a dress I'd given her for her birthday last year. She hugged Emma then, and this made my stomach turn. She touched Daniel's arm, just briefly, just her hand on his forearm for a few seconds. But it wasn't the touch of a sister-in-law greeting her husband's brother. It was intimate, familiar. They all went inside. The door closed. I waited and waited and waited. Daniel didn't come out. 7 o'clock came and went. The time when my client call would be happening. The time when Daniel should have been home for dinner. At 7:30, he texted me. Got caught up chatting with Lisa about a design project she's working on. Heading home now. I looked at the house. His car was still in the driveway. The lights in what I knew was Lisa's bedroom had just turned on. He was still lying. I waited another hour, my hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. At 8:30, I finally drove home, my mind racing with what to do next. When Daniel arrived home at 9, a full 2 hours after he said he was leaving Lisa's, he was whistling. Actually whistling, happy and relaxed. Sorry, babe, he said, kissing my cheek. Lisa wanted my opinion on like 5 different design mock-ups. You know how she gets when she's working on a project. The lie came so easily to him, so smoothly. No problem, I said, matching his casual tone. How is Lisa doing? Good, good. She's really loving the house. Says it's the best thing that ever happened to her. I bet she does, I thought bitterly. Over the next 2 weeks, I followed this pattern 3 more times. Each time, Daniel would drop Emma off and stay for hours, texting me lies about where he was. Each time, I documented everything, times, locations, the lies he told. But I still didn't have definitive proof of what was happening inside that house. So I took the next step, the one that felt like crossing a line, but I was way past caring about lines. I installed a voice-activated recorder in Daniel's car. It was a tiny device, easily hidden under the passenger seat. I told myself I'd only keep it there for a week, just to see if Daniel and Lisa talked when they were alone together, just to hear what they said to each other when they thought no one was listening. The recorder had been in his car for 3 days when I hit the jackpot. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was at home working when I got the notification on my phone that the recorder had picked up voices. I immediately downloaded the audio file with shaking hands and pressed play. Daniel's voice, "Can't keep doing this. Sarah's going to figure it out eventually." My blood ran cold. Lisa's voice, and she sounded annoyed. "You've been saying that for 6 months. She hasn't suspected a thing. She's too trusting, too naive." 6 months. They've been doing this for at least 6 months. "Daniel, I don't know. She's been asking more questions lately. What if?" "Lisa, what if nothing? We've been careful. And even if she did find out, so what? You could leave her. We could finally be together for real, not just stolen moments." There was a pause, then Daniel's voice quieter. "It's not that simple. There's Emma to think about, and the assets. Sarah would take me to the cleaners in a divorce." Lisa laughed, actually laughed. "That's what prenups are for, baby." "We didn't have a prenup," Daniel said. Another pause, then Lisa's voice, cold and calculating. "Then I guess you better make sure she doesn't find out." The audio continued with sounds I don't want to describe. Sounds that confirmed beyond any doubt what they were doing in his car, probably parked somewhere private. I turned it off. I couldn't listen anymore. I sat there in my home office, in the house I shared with my husband, and felt something inside me break. Not my heart, that had already shattered. No, this was something deeper, something fundamental. My trust in humanity, my belief in family. My faith that people I loved wouldn't destroy me. All of it broken. But along with that breaking came something else. Something cold and hard and focused. Rage. Pure, crystallized rage. They thought I was naive, trusting, too stupid to figure it out. They thought they could use my daughter as their cover, laugh about my ignorance, plan their future together while spending my money in a house I'd helped furnish. They thought wrong. I needed to see them together with my own eyes. The audio was damning, yes, but I needed the visual proof. I needed to see my husband and my sister in a way that would leave absolutely no room for doubt or denial. I know what you're thinking. Why? Why put yourself through that pain? You already had evidence, you already knew the truth. But here's the thing about betrayal on this scale. Part of you still wants to be wrong. Part of you still hopes that somehow, impossibly, there's another explanation. That your mind is playing tricks on you. That the audio was taken out of context, or that you misunderstood, or that there's some crazy coincidence that explains everything. I needed to kill that hopeful part of myself. I needed to see the truth so clearly that there would be no room for doubt, no room for reconciliation, no room for forgiveness. I needed my rage to be absolutely justified. The opportunity came the following Friday. Emma had another sleepover planned at Lisa's house. This time, I told Daniel I had a girls' night planned with some old college friends, dinner and drinks in the city, and I'd probably stay at a hotel rather than drive home late. "That's great, babe," Daniel said, and I could see the relief in his eyes. A whole night. No wondering when I'd be home, no checking his watch, no carefully timed lies. "You should do that more often," he added. "You work so hard, you deserve a night off." The concern in his voice was so genuine, so convincing. If I didn't know better, I'd think he actually cared about my well-being. That Friday evening, I got dressed up like I really was going out. I took selfies and posted them on social media. Girls' night. Much needed. Creating a digital trail that showed I was exactly where I said I'd be. Daniel even commented on the post with a heart emoji. The performance was flawless on both sides. I drove to the city, checked into a hotel, posted a photo of the hotel room. Then I waited until 8 o'clock, put on dark clothes, and drove back to our neighborhood. I parked 3 blocks away from Lisa's house and walked over. It was dark, and the neighborhood was quiet. Most people were inside having dinner, watching TV, living their normal, non-betrayed lives. Lisa's house had a wooden fence around the backyard, but I'd helped install that fence. I knew there was a gap near the back corner where the gate didn't quite meet the post. I'd made a note to fix it months ago, but never got around to it. Thank God for procrastination. I slipped through the gap and into the backyard. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure the neighbors could hear it. Every shadow made me jump. Every sound made me freeze. What was I doing? This was crazy. This was trespassing. This was... Then I saw them. Through the kitchen window, I saw Lisa and Daniel. She was cooking something at the stove, and he came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, kissed her neck. She turned in his arms and kissed him, really kissed him. The way married couples kiss when they're comfortable with each other, when they're in love. The way he used to kiss me. I should have looked away. I should have taken my photos and left. But I was frozen, watching this intimate domestic scene through the window like I was watching a movie about someone else's life. Lisa said something I couldn't hear, and Daniel laughed. He looked so relaxed, so happy. Then Emma walked into the kitchen in her pajamas, and I watched my husband immediately step away from my sister. Watched them both put on their appropriate faces. Watched Lisa ruffle Emma's hair and Daniel kneel down to talk to our daughter. They were playing house, the 3 of them, a perfect little family. And I was the outsider looking in through the window. I took out my phone with shaking hands and started recording. I captured Daniel kissing Lisa again after Emma left the kitchen. I captured him pouring wine for both of them. I captured Lisa feeding him a bite of whatever she was cooking and him licking her finger. I captured enough to remove any possible doubt. Then I moved to the side of the house where Lisa's bedroom window was. The curtains were partially open. Another thing I'd told Lisa to fix for privacy, another thing that hadn't been done. I didn't want to look. God, I really didn't want to see what I knew I was going to see. But I had to. I waited outside in the cold for 2 hours. I watched through windows as they had dinner together, Daniel, Lisa, and Emma, like a family. I watched them put Emma to bed together, both of them tucking her in. I watched them return to the living room, to the couch, where they sat close together watching TV. And then, around 10:30, they moved to the bedroom. I won't describe what I saw. I can't. Even now, months later, the images are burned into my brain, replaying whenever I close my eyes. Let's just say that there was no doubt, no room for misinterpretation, no possible innocent explanation. My husband was having a full-blown affair with my sister. In the bedroom of the house he'd bought her, while my daughter slept 2 rooms away. I recorded it all, every damning second. Then I walked back to my car, drove back to the hotel in the city, and sat on the bathroom floor for 3 hours, crying so hard I thought I might actually die from the pain. Have you ever experienced grief so profound that it's physical? Where your chest actually hurts, where you can't breathe, where the pain is so intense you wish you could just stop existing. That's where I was that night. The 2 people I'd loved most in the world, besides Emma, had betrayed me in the worst possible way. And they'd done it without remorse, without hesitation, with my own daughter as their unwitting accomplice. I looked at myself in the hotel bathroom mirror, mascara running down my face, eyes swollen and red, looking like a completely broken woman. And I made a decision. I wasn't going to be broken. I wasn't going to be the pathetic wife who fell apart while her husband and sister lived happily ever after. I was going to make them pay. Not with violence, not with anything illegal, but I was going to dismantle their lives the same way they'd dismantled mine, piece by piece, relationship by relationship, until they understood exactly what they'd destroyed. I washed my face, fixed my makeup, took a selfie in the hotel bathroom looking slightly tipsy and happy, and posted it with the caption, "Best night with the best friends." Daniel liked the post within 5 minutes. I smiled at my phone. Keep liking my posts, you lying piece of trash. Keep pretending you're a devoted husband. Keep thinking I'm too naive and trusting to ever figure it out. Because I've figured it out. And now I'm going to figure out exactly how to destroy you both. The hardest part wasn't the investigation. It wasn't the gathering of evidence or the late-night surveillance or even the soul-crushing moment of watching them together. The hardest part was going back to normal, pretending everything was fine, smiling at my husband over breakfast, taking calls from my sister and chatting about mundane things like the weather and what we were having for dinner. The hardest part was wearing a mask every single day while I planned my next moves. That Saturday morning, after my girls' night out, I came home with a bag from an expensive brunch place and a story about bottomless mimosas and terrible karaoke. Daniel bought every word of it. "Sounds like you had fun," he said, kissing me on the forehead. "I missed you, though." "Missed you too," I said, and it sounded so natural, so believable. I was getting good at lying. I'd learned from the best, after all. Emma came running to hug me, chattering about her sleepover at Aunt Lisa's. We made pancakes, and Daddy helped, and we watched a movie and... "Daddy helped," I interrupted, keeping my voice light and curious. "I thought Daddy dropped you off and came home." Daniel didn't even flinch. "Oh, I stopped by in the morning to pick her up and Lisa roped me into making breakfast. You know how she is." The lie rolled off his tongue like water. Smooth, easy, practiced. "That's nice," I said, smiling. "It's good that you two get along so well." If he detected any sarcasm in my voice, he didn't show it. That afternoon, while Daniel was watching football and Emma was napping, I locked myself in my home office and began the next phase. I called a lawyer. Not just any lawyer, the best divorce attorney in the state. Patricia Chen was legendary for representing high-net-worth women in messy divorces, and she had a reputation for being absolutely ruthless. "I need a consultation," I told her receptionist. "It's urgent." They had an opening Monday morning. I took it. That weekend was surreal. We did normal family things, took Emma to the park, had dinner together, watched movies. Daniel held my hand. He told me he loved me. He played with our daughter. And the whole time, I kept thinking about what I'd seen through Lisa's bedroom window, about the audio recording of them in his car, about all the lies. Sunday evening, Lisa called me. "Hey sis," she said, and her voice was so warm, so familiar. "How was girls' night?" "It was great," I said, putting on my best cheerful voice. "How was your weekend?" "Good. Emma is such a sweetheart. I love having her here." "And it's so nice that Daniel helps out too," I said casually. "Emma mentioned he made pancakes with you guys." There was the tiniest pause, just a fraction of a second. "Oh, yeah. He stopped by to pick her up and I was already making breakfast, so," she laughed. "You know me, I always make too much food." Another lie, smooth and practiced. "We're so lucky to have you close by," I said. "That house Daniel bought you is really perfect, isn't it?" "It is," Lisa said softly. "I'm grateful every single day. You and Daniel have been so good to me. I don't know what I did to deserve a sister like you." The audacity, the absolute audacity of this woman. "Family takes care of family," I said, echoing Daniel's words from months ago. "That's what we do." After we hung up, I sat there staring at my phone, marveling at how easily they both lied. How they could look me in the eye or talk to me on the phone and betray me without a shred of guilt. It made what I was about to do a lot easier. Monday morning, I told Daniel I had a breakfast meeting with a potential client. Another lie to add to the mountain of lies our marriage had become. Patricia Chen's office was in a sleek high-rise downtown. Everything about it screamed power and money, from the marble floors to the modern art on the walls to the impeccably dressed receptionist. Patricia herself was a small woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an even sharper suit. She shook my hand firmly and gestured for me to sit. "Tell me everything," she said, pulling out a legal pad. And I did. I told her about the marriage, the money, the house Daniel bought for my sister, Emma's innocent question, my investigation, all of it. I showed her the screenshots of Daniel's location versus his lies. I played her the audio from the car. I showed her the videos from Friday night. Patricia's expression never changed. She just took notes, asked clarifying questions, and listened. When I finished, she sat back in her chair and looked at me with something that might have been respect. "You've done excellent work gathering evidence," she said. "Most people come to me with just suspicions. You've built a case." "What happens now?" I asked. "Now we build an even stronger case," Patricia said. "You mentioned your husband has substantial assets. Real estate holdings, correct?" "Yes, commercial properties, some residential. I'm not sure of the exact value, but it's significant." "Were any of these assets acquired during the marriage?" "Most of them," I said. "He owned 2 properties when we met. Everything else came after." Patricia smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a predator who just spotted prey. "In this state, that makes them marital assets, subject to equitable distribution. We're going to need a complete accounting of everything: properties, bank accounts, investments, retirement funds, everything." "He has a good accountant," I said. "Won't he try to hide assets?" "They always try," Patricia said. "That's why we're going to be proactive. I have an investigator who specializes in financial discovery. He's very good at finding what people try to hide." We spent the next 2 hours going over every detail of our finances that I knew about. Patricia explained the divorce process, the timeline, what I could expect. "Here's my advice," she said as our meeting wrapped up. "Don't confront them yet. I know you want to, I know you're angry, but the element of surprise is your biggest advantage right now. Keep playing the loving wife. Keep acting like you don't know. Let us do our investigation and build the strongest case possible." "How long?" I asked. "Give me 3 weeks," Patricia said. "Let my investigator do his work. Let's make sure we know about every asset, every account, every property. Then we'll strike." 3 weeks. 21 more days of pretending. of lying, of sleeping next to a man who was betraying me. I can do that, I said. One more thing, Patricia added. The house he bought for your sister, was it purchased with marital funds? Yes, he paid cash, $350,000. Patricia made a note. That's a gift of marital property made during an affair. We can argue that your sister needs to return the value of that house as part of the settlement. She participated in dissipating marital assets. My eyes widened. We can take the house back. We can certainly try, Patricia said. And even if we don't succeed, we'll make her life very uncomfortable in the process. Depositions, court appearances, public record of her affair with her sister's husband. For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt something other than pain and rage. I felt hope. Not hope for my marriage, that was dead and buried, but hope for justice, hope for revenge, hope that they wouldn't just get away with this. I left Patricia's office with a plan and a timeline. 3 weeks of investigation, then we'd file for divorce. We'd hit Daniel with papers at work, maximum embarrassment. We'd subpoena records, we'd expose everything. And Lisa, she'd find out that being the other woman came with consequences too. Those next 3 weeks were the longest of my life. I had to be perfect in my performance. I couldn't slip up, couldn't let Daniel or Lisa see even a hint that I knew. I went to family dinners at Lisa's house and complimented her cooking. I let Emma have her sleepovers. I kissed Daniel goodbye every morning. I made love to my husband even though it made my skin crawl, because that's what a trusting wife would do. Patricia's investigator worked fast. His name was Marcus, and he was worth every penny of his substantial fee. Within 10 days, he'd uncovered financial records that showed Daniel had been spending marital money on Lisa for over a year. Not just the house, but jewelry, trips, even a monthly allowance of $5,000 deposited directly into her account. My money. He was giving my sister my money to be his mistress. Marcus also discovered that Daniel had opened a separate bank account I didn't know about and had been funneling money into it. Almost $200,000 that he'd hidden from me. He's preparing for something, Patricia said when she showed me the records. Either he was planning to leave you, or he was creating a safety net in case you found out. The evidence kept piling up. Every day, Marcus would send Patricia new findings, and Patricia would forward them to me. Each revelation was another knife to the heart, but I documented everything, saved everything. I also started my own preparations. I opened my own separate bank account at a different bank. I transferred half of our joint savings into it, my legal right, according to Patricia. I gathered important documents, Emma's birth certificate, our marriage license, insurance policies, titles to the cars, everything. I made copies of Daniel's files from his home office, photographing every document related to his properties and business dealings. I was building a fortress, and Daniel had no idea. 2 weeks into the 3-week timeline, Daniel announced he had to go on a business trip. Just 3 days, he said. Chicago, property acquisition meeting. I checked the tracker on his phone. He never went to Chicago. He stayed at Lisa's house for 3 days straight. A romantic getaway while I was supposedly at home missing him. I documented every moment, every lie, every time his location didn't match his story. And I smiled and texted him things like, "Miss you, honey," and "Can't wait until you're home." He responded with, "Miss you too," beautiful and heart emojis. The day before the 3-week deadline, I had lunch with Lisa. She wanted to show me some new furniture she'd bought for the living room. We sat in her kitchen, the kitchen where I'd watched her kiss my husband through the window, and drank coffee and talked about nothing. "You seem different lately," Lisa said, studying me. "Everything okay?" My heart skipped a beat. Had I slipped up? Had she noticed something? "Just tired," I said with a smile. "Work has been crazy, but I'm good." "You sure? You know you can talk to me about anything, right? I'm your sister." The concern in her voice was so genuine, such a good actress. "I know," I said, reaching across the table to squeeze her hand. "I'm lucky to have you." She squeezed back. "I'm the lucky one. You've given me so much, Sarah, this house, a stable life. I could never repay you. Oh, but you will, I thought. You're going to repay me in ways you can't even imagine. That night, I got the call from Patricia. We have everything we need, she said. My investigator has compiled a complete financial profile. We have evidence of the affair, evidence of financial misconduct, evidence of marital asset dissipation. We're ready. What's next? I asked, my heart pounding. Tomorrow, we file, Patricia said. I'll have a process server deliver the papers to Daniel at his office at noon. Maximum visibility, minimum chance of him destroying evidence. And Lisa. We'll be sending her a notice that she'll be subpoenaed to testify in the divorce proceedings. She'll also be notified that we're seeking return of the house as an improperly gifted marital asset. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. This was it. Tomorrow the mask comes off. Tomorrow the war begins. Do it, I said. That night I had dinner with Daniel and Emma like it was any other night. We ate spaghetti. Emma talked about her school project. Daniel told a funny story about one of his employees. After Emma went to bed, Daniel and I watched TV together on the couch. He had his arm around me. I love you, he said during a commercial break. I looked up at him. This man I'd married, this man I'd built a life with, this man who was destroying me. I love you too, I said. One last lie. Tomorrow, he'd know the truth. Tomorrow, they'd both know that you don't betray Sarah Mitchell and get away with it. Tomorrow, my revenge begins. The morning everything changed started like any other morning. I made breakfast. Daniel read the news on his tablet. Emma ate her cereal and talked about the field trip her class was taking next week. Normal, perfectly, painfully normal. I have meetings all day, Daniel said, kissing me on the cheek as he grabbed his briefcase. Probably won't be able to check my phone much. How convenient, I thought. He wouldn't see the calls from his lawyer until it was too late. No problem, I said brightly. Emma and I are going to have a girls' day after school, maybe get our nails done. That sounds fun, Daniel said, ruffling Emma's hair. My two favorite girls. He left at 8:30, completely unaware that his entire world was about to explode. I took Emma to school, kissed her goodbye, and drove home with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Patricia had told me the process server would deliver the papers at noon. That gave me a few hours. I spent those hours doing something I should have done weeks ago. I packed. Not everything, just important things, clothes for Emma and me. Sentimental items, photo albums, jewelry my mother had left me, Emma's baby book, important documents, my laptop. I loaded everything into my car, parked in the garage where Daniel wouldn't see it when he came home. Because I wasn't going to be here when he came home. Patricia had arranged for Emma and me to stay at a corporate apartment she kept for clients in situations exactly like mine. Somewhere safe. Somewhere Daniel didn't know about. Somewhere I could be when the explosion happened. At 11:45, my phone rang. Patricia. The server is walking into his building now, she said. I sat down on my couch. The couch Daniel and I had picked out together 5 years ago. The couch where we'd watched movies and held hands and talked about our future, and waited. Noon came and went. 12:15, 12:30. At 12:42, my phone exploded with calls. Daniel's name flashing on the screen. Once, twice, 3 times. I didn't answer. Text messages started flooding in. Sarah, call me right now. What the hell is this? Sarah, pick up the phone. We need to talk. This is insane. You're making a huge mistake. I read each one with a cold, detached satisfaction. Then I blocked his number. 5 minutes later, Lisa called. I answered this one. I wanted to hear her panic. Sarah, her voice was shaking. Sarah, what's going on? I just got served with some kind of legal notice about testifying in your divorce and something about the house and... I know, I said calmly. Silence, then, you know what? I know everything, Lisa. About you and Daniel. About the affair. About how you've been sleeping with my husband in the house he bought you. About how you've been using my daughter as your cover. I know everything." I heard her breath catch. "Sarah, I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't," I cut her off. "Don't lie to me anymore. I have videos, Lisa, audio recordings, financial records, I have everything." More silence, then in a small voice, "How long have you known?" "Long enough," I said. "Long enough to build a case that's going to take everything from both of you." "Sarah, please, let me explain." "There's nothing to explain. You destroyed our family, you betrayed me, and now you're going to pay for it." "I'm your sister," Lisa cried. "We can work through this. I made a mistake, I'm sorry, "You're not my sister," I said, and my voice was ice. "A sister doesn't sleep with her sister's husband. A sister doesn't take money and gifts and a house and use them to continue betraying her family. You're not my sister. You're just someone I used to know who destroyed my life." "Please," Lisa sobbed. "Please, Sarah, I love him. We didn't mean for it to happen, but we fell in love and—" I hung up. My hands were shaking, but not from sadness, from pure, righteous anger. She loved him. They fell in love, like that somehow made it okay. Like their feelings justified the betrayal. Well, feelings don't hold up in court, but evidence does. My phone rang again. A number I didn't recognize. I answered. "Mrs. Mitchell," a man's voice. "This is Robert Kessler. I'm representing your husband in the divorce proceedings. I'd like to discuss the possibility of mediation before this gets—" "No," I said simply. "Mrs. Mitchell, if we could just—" I said no. "All communication goes through my attorney, Patricia Chen. You should have her contact information." "Mrs. Mitchell, I understand you're upset, but—" "Upset," I laughed. It wasn't a nice sound. "I'm not upset, Mr. Kessler. Upset is when someone cuts you off in traffic. What I am is betrayed, violated, and absolutely determined to ensure your client gets exactly what he deserves. Which, by my calculations, is about half of everything he owns and a very public humiliation. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go pick up my daughter from school." I hung up before he could respond. The next call came from Daniel's mother, Margaret. We'd always gotten along well. She was a sweet woman who doted on Emma. "Sarah, honey," she said when I answered. "Daniel just called me. He's very upset. He says you filed for divorce. This must be some kind of misunderstanding." "It's not a misunderstanding, Margaret," I said gently. "I actually liked my mother-in-law, and this wasn't her fault. Daniel has been having an affair. I have proof. I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of this, but the divorce is happening." "An affair?" She sounded genuinely shocked. "That can't be right. Daniel wouldn't who?" I hesitated, then decided she deserved to know. "My sister, Lisa." The gasp on the other end of the line was audible. "Lisa, your sister Lisa, the one he bought the house for?" "Yes." "Oh, Sarah," Margaret's voice broke. "Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I had no idea if I'd known." "I know you didn't, and I'm sorry Emma won't be seeing you as much for a while. Things are going to be complicated." "You do what you need to do," Margaret said firmly. "And if you need anything at all, you call me. Daniel is my son and I love him, but what he's done is unforgivable." That call actually made me cry a little. In the middle of all this betrayal, it was nice to know someone was on my side. I picked up Emma from school and took her to get ice cream, just like I'd promised. She chattered about her day, completely unaware that her whole life was changing. How was I going to tell her? How was I going to explain that Daddy wasn't going to live with us anymore? But that was a problem for later. Right now, I needed to get us to the safe apartment and wait for the next phase of Patricia's plan. The apartment was nice, a furnished 2-bedroom in a secure building. Patricia had arranged everything. There was even a welcome basket with snacks and toys for Emma. "Are we on vacation?" Emma asked, looking around the new space. "Sort of," I said. "We're staying here for a little while, an adventure." She seemed satisfied with that answer and immediately started exploring. My phone buzzed. "Patricia." "How are you holding up?" she asked. "I'm okay. We're at the apartment." "Good. Daniel's lawyer has already called me 3 times. They want to settle. Already, I was surprised. They know we have a strong case. The evidence of the affair alone would destroy him in court, and the financial misconduct makes it even worse. They want to avoid a trial. What are they offering? Nothing concrete yet, just feeling out if you're open to negotiation. What do you want me to tell them? I thought about it. About Daniel and Lisa, probably together right now, panicking and planning. About all the lies and betrayal. About my daughter in the next room, who would grow up with divorced parents because of their selfishness. Tell them I want everything I'm entitled to under the law, I said. 50% of all marital assets. Full custody of Emma with supervised visitation until we can establish that Daniel won't continue exposing her to his affair partner. And I want the house Lisa lives in returned or its value compensated to me. That's going to be a fight, Patricia warned. Good, I said. I'm ready for a fight. Over the next few days, things moved quickly. Daniel tried everything to reach me. He showed up at our house, the one I'd already moved out of. He called my friends. He even tried to use his mother to get me to talk to him. I refused all contact except through lawyers. Patricia's investigator, Marcus, continued digging and found even more damaging information. Daniel had been renting hotel rooms for his encounters with Lisa, charged to our joint credit card. There were receipts for jewelry I'd never received. Dinners at expensive restaurants on nights he'd told me he was working late. Every piece of evidence was another nail in his coffin. A week after filing, we had our first formal settlement negotiation. I didn't have to be there. Patricia handled it, but she called me afterward with an update. They're offering you 40% of marital assets and joint custody, Patricia said. No. That's what I told them. I also reminded them that in this state, adultery can affect asset distribution, and that we have more than enough evidence to prove Daniel's affair. Their position weakened considerably after that. What about the house? They're claiming it was a gift to family, and therefore not recoverable. I've countered that it was a gift made in furtherance of an affair and should be considered dissipation of marital assets. Can we win that? Maybe, maybe not, but we can make Lisa's life miserable trying. She'll have to sit for depositions, testify about the affair, have her finances examined. Even if we don't get the house back, she'll pay for it in other ways. That thought brought me more satisfaction than it probably should have. 2 weeks after serving Daniel with divorce papers, Patricia called with interesting news. Lisa's hired her own attorney, she said. Why would she need an attorney? She's not being sued. Actually, she is now. I filed a separate civil suit this morning on your behalf, alienation of affection. I sat up straight. What's that? It's a tort claim available in this state. Basically, we're suing Lisa for deliberately interfering with your marriage. The house, the financial support Daniel gave her, the affair itself, it all supports the claim. Can we win? With your evidence, absolutely. And even if we settle, it sends a message. She doesn't get to walk away from this unscathed. I smiled. How much are we suing for? $500,000. My smile widened. I like the way you think, Patricia. The lawsuit hit Lisa like a truck. Within hours of being served, she was calling me again. I didn't answer. She left voicemails, her voice progressing from apologetic to angry to desperate. Sarah, you can't do this. I don't have that kind of money. You're going to ruin me. Sarah, please, I'm your sister. We can work this out. This is insane. You can't sue me for falling in love. Actually, I could, and I was. Daniel's lawyer called Patricia in a panic. Apparently, Lisa had called Daniel crying, and Daniel was worried about her. My client is willing to increase his settlement offer if you drop the suit against Ms. Lisa Carter, the lawyer said. Tell your client that what happens between my client and her sister is none of his business anymore, Patricia replied. He should be more concerned with his own legal problems. But Daniel's increased offer was interesting. 45% of assets, joint custody, and an additional $200,000 in cash. He's desperate, Patricia told me. He's trying to protect Lisa. What do you think I should do? Honestly, we can do better. The trial is in 3 months. The closer we get, the more nervous they'll get. Trials are public. Evidence becomes public record. Daniel's business reputation would be destroyed. He knows that. So we wait. We wait, and we let them panic. While we waited, I started rebuilding my life. I enrolled Emma in a child therapist who specialized in helping kids cope with divorce. I was honest with Emma, in age-appropriate ways, about why Daddy and I weren't living together anymore. Daddy made some choices that hurt our family, I told her. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes mean they can't be married anymore. But Daddy still loves me, right? Emma asked, her little face so worried. Of course he does, I assured her. And Mommy loves you more than anything in the world. That will never change. What I didn't tell her was that Daddy's visits with her were now supervised, because I didn't trust him not to bring her around Lisa. The court had agreed to temporary supervised visitation until the final custody arrangement was decided. Daniel hated it. His lawyer filed motions arguing it was unnecessary. But Patricia countered with evidence that Daniel had repeatedly exposed Emma to his affair partner and used Emma as cover for his infidelity. The judge sided with me. I also started going to therapy myself, not because I was falling apart, I'd moved past that, but because I needed to process the betrayal in healthy ways. My therapist, Dr. Reynolds, was incredibly helpful. What you're feeling is completely normal, she told me in one session. Betrayal trauma is real. The person you trusted most violated that trust in the deepest way possible. I keep wondering what I did wrong, I admitted. What I could have done differently. That's normal too. But Sarah, you didn't do anything wrong. People who cheat make a choice. They choose to betray. That's not a reflection of your worth or your adequacy as a wife. Intellectually, I knew she was right. Emotionally, I was still working on believing it. 1 month after filing for divorce, something unexpected happened. Daniel requested a face-to-face meeting. Just him and me, no lawyers. Patricia advised against it. Anything you say could be used in court. It's not worth the risk. But I wanted to hear what he had to say. I wanted to look him in the eye. We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. I got there first, ordered a coffee I didn't drink, and waited. Daniel walked in looking terrible. He'd lost weight. There were dark circles under his eyes. His usually impeccable appearance was rumpled. Good, I thought viciously. He sat down across from me, and for a long moment, we just stared at each other. You look good, he finally said. I didn't return the compliment. What do you want, Daniel? He winced. I want to talk, really talk, not through lawyers and legal motions. We're past talking. Sarah, please. He reached across the table like he was going to take my hand. I pulled back. I made a terrible mistake, I know that. I hurt you in the worst way possible, and I'm sorry. You're sorry, I repeated flatly. I am. God, I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. But it did happen. You made it happen. You chose to sleep with my sister. You chose to lie to me every single day. You chose to buy her a house and use our daughter as your cover. Those were choices, Daniel, not accidents. I know. He ran his hands through his hair. I know I was selfish and stupid and... Why? I interrupted. Just tell me why. What did I do that was so terrible you had to go to my own sister? Nothing, he said quickly. You didn't do anything wrong. You were perfect. You are perfect. It wasn't about you. Then what was it about? He struggled for words. I don't know. Lisa was just... She was different, exciting. She made me feel young and alive and I didn't. My voice was cold. Your wife and the mother of your child didn't make you feel alive. That's not what I meant. How long, Daniel? How long were you sleeping with her before you bought her the house? He looked down. A few months. So you were already having an affair when you came to me with that generous idea to help my sister. When you held me and told me family takes care of family. Yes, he whispered. And every time Emma stayed over there, every time you dropped her off or picked her up. Yes, I nodded slowly. Do you love her, Lisa? He looked up, surprised by the question. I don't know, I thought I did. But now everything's falling apart and I don't know. She thinks you do. She told me you're in love. She said that right before I hung up on her. She said you fell in love and didn't mean for it to happen. Daniel closed his eyes. Sarah, I made a mistake, a huge, terrible mistake, but we have 10 years together. We have Emma. That has to count for something. It did count for something, I said. It counted for everything, and you destroyed it. It doesn't have to be destroyed. We could try counseling. We could work through this. I stared at him in disbelief. You think I would take you back, after everything you've done? People get past affairs. It happens. We could. I don't want to get past it, Daniel. I want to get away from you. I want a divorce, 50% of everything you own, full custody of Emma, and to never have to look at your lying face again. You don't mean that. I mean every word. He leaned forward, desperate now. What about the settlement offer? 45% and $200,000 cash. Take it. Drop the lawsuit against Lisa. We can end this now. No. Sarah, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. You're the one who wasn't reasonable when you decided to screw my sister. I stood up. This meeting is over. All future communication goes through Patricia. Wait, he grabbed my arm. Several people in the coffee shop looked over. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back at his face. Let go of me. He released me immediately. I'm sorry, I can't lose you, I can't lose Emma. You already lost us, I said. The moment you touched my sister, you lost us. You just didn't know it yet. I walked out of that coffee shop with my head high and my heart cold. Behind me, I heard Daniel say my name one more time, broken and desperate. I didn't look back. The confrontation I'd been avoiding finally came 6 weeks after filing for divorce. It wasn't planned. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I'd taken Emma to the park. We were on the swings, Emma laughing and asking me to push her higher when I saw Lisa walking toward us. My whole body went rigid. Mommy, why did you stop pushing? Emma asked. Just a second, sweetie, I said, watching Lisa approach. She looked awful. She'd lost weight too, and she wasn't carrying it well. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Sarah, she said as she reached us, please, I just need 5 minutes. Aunt Lisa, Emma called out happily, watch me swing. I wanted to tell Lisa to leave, to get out of my sight before I did something I'd regret. But Emma was there, and I wouldn't make a scene in front of my daughter. 5 minutes, I said quietly. Let me take Emma to the bathroom first. I took Emma into the park's public restroom and called my friend Jennifer, who lived nearby. Can you do me a huge favor? Can you come to Riverside Park and hang out with Emma for about 10 minutes? Lisa's here and we need to talk. Jennifer knew everything. She was there within 5 minutes, sweeping Emma up in a hug and suggesting they go get ice cream from the vendor. Once they were gone, I turned to face my sister. Say what you came to say, I told her. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm so sorry. You've said that before. I mean it. I never wanted to hurt you. I never wanted any of this to happen. But it did happen. You made it happen. I know. Tears were streaming down her face now. I know. I was stupid and selfish and I betrayed you in the worst way possible. But you're my sister, my only family. I can't lose you. You should have thought about that before you slept with Daniel. I tried to stop. I tried so many times, but she choked on a sob. I fell in love with him, Sarah. I didn't mean to, but I did. Don't. My voice was sharp. Don't you dare try to romanticize this. You didn't fall in love. You made a choice. Over and over again, you chose to betray me. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Lisa? Explain it to me. Explain how you could look me in the eye at family dinners while you were sleeping with my husband. Explain how you could hug me and tell me you loved me while you were destroying my marriage. Explain how you could use my own daughter as your cover. I never meant to involve Emma. But you did. You had Daniel come over while she was there. You let her see you playing house together. She thought it was normal. She asked me why Daddy sleeps at your house, and I had to lie to my own daughter because finding out the truth would devastate her. Lisa was crying harder now. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't give me back my marriage or my family or the sister I thought I had. I'm still your sister. No, I said coldly. You're not. A sister doesn't do what you did. You're just someone I used to know. Sarah, please, I'll do anything. I'll move away. I'll never see Daniel again. I'll give you back the house. Whatever you want, just please don't cut me out of your life forever. I laughed bitterly. Now you'll give back the house. Now that you're being sued for $500,000. How convenient. It's not about the lawsuit. I just want my sister back. You can't have her back. That's Sarah, the one who trusted you and loved you and would have done anything for you. She's gone. You killed her. Don't say that. It's true. Every time I close my eyes, I see you with him. I see you in that bedroom, in that house that I helped you furnish, betraying me. That image is burned into my brain forever, Lisa. Every memory I have of us together is poisoned now. I can't look at childhood photos without thinking that little girl grew up to stab me in the back. You didn't just betray me. You destroyed every good memory I had of my entire life. Lisa sank down onto the park bench, her body shaking with sobs. What can I do? Tell me what to do to fix this. You can't fix it. It's broken beyond repair. There has to be something. There's nothing. You made your choice. You chose Daniel over me. Now you get to live with that choice. I didn't choose him over you. I love you both. You can't love me and betray me, Lisa. That's not how love works. She looked up at me with desperate eyes. Are you really going to go through with the lawsuit? Sarah, I don't have $500,000. You'll destroy me financially. Good. She flinched like I'd slapped her. You destroyed me emotionally, I continued. You and Daniel both. You took everything I believed about my family, my marriage, my life, and you burned it to the ground. So yes, I'm going to destroy you financially. I'm going to take everything I can from both of you, and I'm going to do it without an ounce of regret. You've changed, Lisa whispered. You're not the person I remember. You're right, I've changed. I'm not naive anymore. I'm not trusting. I don't believe in the goodness of people or the sanctity of family. You and Daniel taught me that the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you the worst. So thank you for that lesson. I turned to walk away. Mom would be ashamed of you, Lisa called out. I stopped, turned back slowly. What did you say? Lisa stood up, wiping her tears, and suddenly there was anger on her face. I said Mom would be ashamed of you, being this vindictive, this cruel, destroying your own sister over a man. Over a man? I was so angry I was shaking. This isn't about Daniel. This is about trust, about loyalty, about family. You violated all of it. I made a mistake. You made a choice, and now you're facing consequences. That's not vindictive, that's justice. Justice? Lisa laughed harshly. You want to know about justice, Sarah. You want to know the truth. You always had everything. The perfect grades, the perfect career, the perfect husband, the perfect life. Do you know what it was like being your sister? Always in your shadow. Always the screw-up, the poor one, the one who needed help. So this was about jealousy. You destroyed my marriage because you were jealous of me. I destroyed your marriage because for once, just once, I wanted something you had. I wanted to be the one who was chosen. Daniel chose me, Sarah, not you, me. The words hit like physical blows. He chose you, I repeated quietly. Is that what you tell yourself, that he chose you? He did choose me. He loves me. He used you, I said. He used you because you were convenient and willing and stupid enough to think it meant something. You weren't special, Lisa. You were just there. That's not true. Isn't it? Where is he now? Now that everything's falling apart. Is he standing by your side? Is he helping you with legal fees? Or is he trying to negotiate a settlement that protects his assets and leaves you twisting in the wind? Lisa's face crumpled. That's what I thought, I said. He's protecting himself, not you, because you were never the choice, Lisa. You were just the mistake. And now you get to live with being the other woman who destroyed a family for a man who doesn't even love her. You're wrong, Lisa sobbed. You're wrong about everything. Am I? Then prove it. Where's your knight in shining armor? Where's the man you fell in love with? She didn't answer. She just stood there crying. I felt no satisfaction in her pain, just emptiness. Goodbye, Lisa, I said. Don't contact me again. Don't call, don't text, don't show up at parks. If you need to communicate, do it through lawyers. You're not my sister anymore. You're just another person Daniel hurt. I walked away and didn't look back. Jennifer brought Emma back a few minutes later, the little girl happily eating a chocolate ice cream cone. Everything okay? Jennifer asked quietly. It is now, I said. And strangely, it was. Something had shifted in that confrontation. The pain was still there, but the uncertainty was gone. I'd said everything I needed to say. I'd looked my sister in the eye and told her exactly what her betrayal had cost. Now I could move forward. The trial was set for 2 weeks away when Daniel's lawyer called Patricia with a new settlement offer. 50% of all marital assets, full physical custody of Emma with Daniel getting standard visitation, and $350,000 cash, the exact value of the house Lisa lives in, Patricia told me. What about the lawsuit against Lisa? They want you to drop it as part of the settlement. I thought about it. The trial would be brutal for everyone. Emma would be caught in the middle. Everything would become public record. But the offer was good, really good. What do you think? I asked Patricia. I think we could get more at trial, but trials are unpredictable. And this offer gives you everything you wanted, half the assets, your daughter, and financial compensation for the house. If I take it, Lisa gets away without paying anything. True, but Daniel is essentially paying for her share. The $350,000 is coming from his pocket. I smiled slowly. So he has to pay me back for the house he bought his mistress. Exactly. And Lisa. She still has to deal with her own legal issues. The lawsuit is separate. We can settle that independently. I made my decision. Tell them I'll take the settlement with 3 conditions. 1, Daniel's visitation with Emma is supervised for 6 months, and he's not allowed to bring Emma around Lisa during that time. 2, he signs a statement admitting to the affair and financial misconduct that I can use if he ever tries to modify custody. 3, he pays all my legal fees. Patricia laughed. You're learning, I'll make the call. Daniel agreed to all 3 conditions within an hour. The divorce settlement was finalized 1 week later. I walked out of that courthouse legally single, financially secure, and with full custody of my daughter. Daniel looked broken when he signed the papers. Good. But I wasn't done yet. There was still Lisa. Her lawsuit was scheduled separately. 3 days after my divorce was finalized, Lisa's lawyer called Patricia. Ms. Carter would like to settle, he said. She can't afford to go to trial. What's she offering? Patricia asked. She'll sign over the house to your client. Full ownership, no strings attached. I couldn't help but smile when Patricia told me. So she's giving up the house after all. Looks like it. She doesn't have a choice. She can't pay the $500,000, and this way she at least avoids a judgment against her. Accept it, I said. I want that house. The house transfer happened quickly. Lisa had to be out within 30 days. I didn't go to see her move out. I didn't want to. But my friend Jennifer did. She drove by out of curiosity and texted me a photo. Lisa was loading boxes into a beat-up car, looking exhausted and defeated. No sign of Daniel helping her. Looks like your sister's moving into an apartment across town, Jennifer texted. Small place, rough neighborhood, definitely a downgrade. I stared at the photo for a long moment, then deleted it. I didn't need to see Lisa's downfall. Knowing it was happening was enough. As for the house itself, the house Daniel bought for Lisa, the house where they'd carried on their affair, the house that represented the biggest betrayal of my life, I had plans for it. I could have sold it, could have made a profit, but that felt too simple. Instead, I had it completely renovated. Every room that they'd touched, Every space where they'd been together, I had it gutted and redone. New paint, new floors, new fixtures. I erased every trace of Lisa from that house. And then I turned it into a transitional home for women leaving abusive relationships. I partnered with a local nonprofit that helps domestic violence survivors. The house became a safe place where women and their children could stay while they got back on their feet, free of charge, fully furnished, a second chance. I didn't do it to be noble. I did it because turning their betrayal into something that helped other women felt like the ultimate victory. They'd used that house for lies and affairs. Now it would be used to help rebuild lives. The irony was beautiful. As for Daniel's assets, I got exactly half of everything. His real estate portfolio, his investments, his retirement accounts. All of it split down the middle. It was more money than I'd ever imagined having. Enough that I'd never have to work again if I didn't want to. Enough to give Emma every opportunity in life. Enough to feel like justice had been served. Daniel, meanwhile, was struggling. Losing half his assets hurt him financially, but what hurt him more was his reputation. Word got out about the affair. In business circles, among his friends, in our social community. People talked. Deals fell through. Partnerships dissolved. Turns out nobody wants to do business with a man who betrayed his family so spectacularly. His mother, Margaret, stopped speaking to him for 6 months. She told me this during one of our coffee dates. We'd stayed in touch, bonding over our shared disappointment in Daniel. "I didn't raise him to be this kind of man," she said sadly. "I'm ashamed of what he did to you." "It's not your fault, Margaret." "I know, but still, you were a wonderful wife to him and a wonderful mother to Emma. He threw it all away for nothing." For nothing, that summed it up perfectly. Lisa, I heard through mutual acquaintances, had moved 2 hours away. She'd lost most of her freelance clients, word had gotten around about the affair, and people didn't want to work with her. She was waiting tables at a restaurant to make ends meet. Part of me felt bad about that. She was still my sister, still someone I'd loved once. But mostly I felt nothing. She'd made her choices. Now she was living with them. As for Daniel and Lisa's relationship, the great love affair that justified destroying a family, it didn't last 3 months after the divorce was finalized. Daniel's mother told me they'd broken up. Apparently, once the excitement of the affair was gone and they tried to actually build a relationship in the real world, they realized they had nothing in common. "He said it was a mistake," Margaret told me, "that he never really loved her, that it was just, I don't know, midlife crisis or something." I didn't laugh, but I wanted to. He'd destroyed his marriage, his relationship with his daughter, his reputation, and half his wealth for a mistake. For a relationship that couldn't survive in the light of day. The vindication felt good. I won't pretend it didn't. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I was sitting in my new home, a beautiful 4-bedroom house I'd bought with my settlement money, watching Emma play in the backyard with our new puppy, a golden retriever named Bailey. Life was good, different but good. Emma had adjusted better than I'd hoped. The therapy helped. My honesty helped. And creating a stable, loving environment helped most of all. She saw Daniel every other weekend, supervised visits that had recently transitioned to unsupervised, as he proved he could be trusted. He'd never brought her around Lisa again. I'd made sure that was written into the custody agreement with serious consequences if he violated it. Daniel had tried to rebuild our relationship as co-parents. He was polite, respectful, always on time for pickups and drop-offs. He'd sent me an apology letter, a real one, not a legal one, where he took full responsibility for his actions and expressed genuine remorse. I'd read it once and filed it away. I didn't need his apologies anymore. My business was thriving. I'd thrown myself into work during the divorce, and it had paid off. I'd landed 3 major clients and hired 2 assistants. I was making more money than I ever had, and I'd done it on my own terms. I'd also started dating again. Nothing serious yet, just coffee dates and dinners with men I met through friends or online. It felt strange at first, being single after 10 years of marriage, but it also felt like freedom. I wasn't in a rush to get serious with anyone. I was enjoying figuring out who Sarah was outside of being someone's wife. The trauma was still there. I still had moments where I'd see something that reminded me of the betrayal, and I'd feel that familiar knife twist in my chest. I still had trust issues. I still had nightmares sometimes. But I was healing. Slowly, steadily, I was putting myself back together. And I was doing it stronger than before. One evening, about 8 months after the divorce, I got an unexpected email from Lisa. I almost deleted it without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. The email was long, pages and pages of apologies and explanations and regrets. She talked about being in therapy, about recognizing her patterns of jealousy and self-sabotage, about understanding the depth of what she'd done. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't ask to be part of my life again. She just said she was sorry, that she thought about me every day, that she hoped I was happy. At the end, she wrote, "You were right about everything. Daniel and I weren't in love. We were just two selfish people using each other to fill voids in our lives. We destroyed something real and beautiful for something fake and temporary. I will regret it for the rest of my life. I don't expect you to respond to this. I don't expect anything from you. I just needed you to know that I understand what I did and I'm sorry." I read the email 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and didn't respond. Maybe one day I'd forgive her. Maybe one day the anger would fade and I'd be able to remember the sister I'd loved without feeling the pain of her betrayal. But that day wasn't today. And I was okay with that. Forgiveness wasn't something I owed anyone. It was something I might choose to give someday, if and when I was ready. For now, I was focused on my own life, on being the best mother I could be to Emma, on building my business, on healing and growing and discovering who I was meant to be. The revenge I'd taken wasn't just legal and financial. The real revenge was this: living well, building a life that was happy and fulfilling and completely separate from the people who'd hurt me. They'd thought they could destroy me. They'd thought I was too weak, too trusting, too naive to fight back. They were wrong. I'd fought back strategically, legally, and effectively, and I'd won. But more than that, I'd survived. I'd taken the worst betrayal imaginable and used it as fuel to become stronger, smarter, more independent. I didn't need Daniel or Lisa or anyone else to complete me. I was complete on my own. And that realization, that I could stand on my own 2 feet, that I could build a life I loved without them, was the sweetest revenge of all. So what did I learn from all of this? What's the lesson in a story about betrayal and revenge and broken families? Let me tell you what I wish someone had told me years ago. First, trust your gut. Looking back, there were red flags I ignored, little things that didn't quite add up, moments when something felt off. But I dismissed those feelings because I didn't want to be the paranoid wife, the jealous sister, the woman who sees problems where there aren't any. I should have listened to my instincts. They were trying to protect me. Second, people will show you who they are if you pay attention. Daniel showed me he was capable of elaborate lies. Lisa showed me she was capable of profound betrayal. I just didn't want to see it because seeing it would mean acknowledging that my life wasn't what I thought it was. Third, not everyone deserves your trust, even family. Especially family, sometimes. We're told that blood is thicker than water, that family always comes first, that we should forgive our relatives no matter what they do. But that's not true. Family who betray you don't deserve automatic forgiveness just because you share DNA. Loyalty is earned, not inherited. Fourth, revenge doesn't have to be dramatic or illegal to be effective. I didn't slash tires or post revenge porn or do anything that would land me in jail or make me look crazy. I just used the legal system to get what I was entitled to. I documented everything, built a case, and let justice run its course. Sometimes the best revenge is simply ensuring that people face consequences for their actions. Fifth, you are stronger than you think. When Emma asked that innocent question that shattered my world, I thought I would break. I thought I'd fall apart and never recover. But I didn't. I grieved, yes. I cried and raged and hurt. But I also got up every morning, took care of my daughter, built my case, and moved forward. You don't know how strong you are until strength is your only option. Sixth, healing isn't linear. Some days I feel completely fine. Other days, something small will trigger a memory and I'll be right back in that moment of heartbreak. That's normal. That's okay. Healing from betrayal doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in a straight line. It's messy and complicated and ongoing. But it does happen, if you let it. Finally, the most important lesson: your worth is not determined by other people's choices. Daniel's affair wasn't about me. It wasn't because I wasn't pretty enough or interesting enough or good enough. It was about his character, his choices, his failures. The same with Lisa. Her betrayal wasn't because I was a bad sister. It was because she was a person capable of profound selfishness. Their actions say everything about them and nothing about me. I am worthy of love, of loyalty, of respect, and I don't need validation from people who couldn't see my worth to know that I have it. If you're going through something similar, if you've been betrayed by someone you trusted, I want you to know something. It's not your fault, you didn't deserve it, and you will survive it. The pain you feel right now is real and valid. Let yourself feel it. Cry, rage, grieve, but don't let it consume you. Don't let the people who hurt you have the power to destroy your future. Document everything. Protect yourself legally and financially. Get therapy. Lean on the people who genuinely care about you. And then, when you're ready, rebuild. Create a life that's so good, so fulfilling, so completely yours that the betrayal becomes just a chapter in your story, not the whole book. That's what I did. That's what I'm still doing. Is my life perfect now? No, I'm a single mom. I have trust issues. I have scars that will probably never fully heal. But I'm also free. I'm successful. I'm raising an amazing daughter. I'm building a future on my own terms. And Emma, she's thriving. She's happy and healthy and surrounded by love. She knows both her parents care about her, even if they're not together. She's learning that sometimes families change shape, but love remains constant. That's what matters most. As for Daniel and Lisa, they're living their lives somewhere, dealing with their own consequences. I don't keep tabs on them. I don't need to know what they're doing or if they're happy or if they regret their choices. They're irrelevant to my story now. My story is about survival, about strength, about a woman who was betrayed in the worst way possible and refused to let that betrayal define her. It's about taking pain and turning it into power. It's about justice, yes, but more than that, it's about healing, about moving forward, about building something beautiful from the ashes of something broken. That's my story. And if you're facing your own betrayal, your own heartbreak, your own moment where the world seems to be ending, remember this. You will survive. You will heal. And one day, you'll look back on this moment and realize that it wasn't the end of your story. It was just the beginning of a new chapter. A better chapter. A chapter where you're the hero, not the victim. So to everyone watching this from wherever you are in the world, thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here with me through this journey. If this story resonated with you, if it helped you in any way, drop a comment and let me know. Tell me your story if you want to share it. Let's support each other. Because betrayal might be a solitary experience, but healing doesn't have to be. We're all in this together. And remember, you are stronger than you know. You are worthy of love and loyalty. And you deserve a life that's filled with people who see your worth and cherish it. Don't settle for anything less. That's my final lesson. That's what I wish I could go back and tell the Sarah who was brushing her daughter's hair that Tuesday evening, about to have her world shattered by an innocent question. You are enough, you always were, and you always will be. The people who couldn't see that, they're the ones with the problem, not you. Take care of yourselves, love yourselves, and never, ever let anyone make you feel like you deserved betrayal. You didn't, you don't, you never will. This is Sarah Mitchell, signing off. Be strong, be brave, and remember, living well truly is the best revenge.